What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. I'm glad you're here. The sun is really strong this morning. Let me tell you what. We're gonna have one of the hot days we were talking about in last Friday's video. Hope the weather's good where you're at, and I hope you're ready to spend a day in the shop. There's a lot going on. We've been having a pretty good week. We're gonna try to keep the trend going, finish the week strong. We're approaching 13,000 subscribers too. I really appreciate the support, you guys. It means a lot to know that I'm on the right path. Work really hard on my YouTube channel and at my regular job as a flat rate master mechanic, and we got a whole bunch of cars out in the parking lot today. There's like literally 8 cars out in the parking lot. We'll see what ones had appointments, what ones broke down and just showed up. Also a pretty bad accident at one of the major intersections on my ride to work. Everyone had to go into one lane, so I don't know what happened, but they had tarps everywhere, so it's probably not good. Anyway, say a prayer or two if you want, and makes me feel a little better. Let's try to learn something. Let's get in there, have some fun. Stay tuned. All right, first thing this morning, I'm gonna dump a bunch of fluid in here until we get this thing to move. They're gonna take it somewhere where they're, I don't know, he's got someone that's gonna do a transmission, he said, for 800 bucks. So something not right, nothing I can do about it. So let's get it done and see what's next. I got the Lexus over here. That also is going to get a transmission. They're working on the estimate, I believe. The Volkswagen needs a sunroof repair. It leaks water. I don't think they want to do it. They just haven't picked it up yet. That customer owns only Volkswagens. He has a little, if you've seen some of my earlier videos, we put an engine in his little dune buggy for him. I'm just going to put fluid in this and back it out, and then we'll see what's next. All right. Fluid is good. Let's see what's going on next. Well, keep in mind, I made a short about this van. Like many vehicles, this guy just bought this. Couldn't have been checked out by anybody. Used car lot, as is, 225,000 miles. Honestly, a transmission internal issue might not be caught by someone who does an inspection. But anyway, at least you have better odds if you have a professional look at it and give you their opinion. And then you can make a decision from there. Most people, though, they'll still buy it anyway. That's what I've seen. Oh, you might notice too, the Cadillac's still here. He had us fix it, but he doesn't have the money. So I'm just getting the day fired up and seeing if we can finish this week strong. Not getting a great vibe so far, but I think we'll be all right. They're gonna come. I think he's gonna try to drive this thing out. It kind of works halfway, and it flares and shifts hard, and then it doesn't shift at all. I think third gear is non-existent, something like that. I forget exactly. But they're bringing the tow truck, so it's all good. I'll put it right here, easy to tow. Let's stop rambling and go find some work. 2017 Nissan Frontier. Heard some brake noises, and then suddenly no brakes. Doesn't look like a 2017. I wouldn't be surprised if the year's wrong. 52,459 miles. Very interesting. Air's on max. These are cool little knives, actually. Yep, brake pedals on the float. I'm gonna have to put you guys down and drive this thing in very carefully. When you drive a car in with no brakes, use a lot of neutral. Oh, I was busted. Oh, you guys fell. Sorry about that. Don't worry, it wasn't a crash. It was just you guys are tipsy. I complained to Paul about my fan not working. So apparently he heard me. He's gonna steal a fan from over Bill's Bay. All right, that was easy. We're in. Nobody got hurt. Let's go look at them brakes, see what happened. I bet you a pad fell out because it was grinding for a month or two. This can't be a 17, is it? 11 of 16. My goodness gracious. Interior looks decent. Love rating of 5. But for something that's only 6 years old, it should be a lot higher. Okay. I'm sorry, no Nissan. We're going to take care of you. I got a fan. All right, let's... Hopefully that one's not about to blow up, too. Those fans were here when I started here 16, 17 years ago, whatever it's been now. They're old. But I'm older, so... All right, we're going to get a look at these brakes and stop horsing around in a second. Is that seriously, is that job on hold for a hose it doesn't really need?
No, he needs the sway bar. Not just the bushings,
the bracket.
The bushing. Too.
Oh, that's not supposed to happen.
And apparently, it's such a problem with Dodge. The aftermarket makes the brackets as well.
Oh, really? That's not supposed to happen. Oh, and there's brake fluid on the tire. Oh no.
Car wee-wee itself.
Oh, that's going to be expensive.
You were saying it didn't see love.
This vehicle is not getting any love. I hope he's got money, because that's no bueno. Yeah, that is brake fluid all over the tire. That pad fell out on when I pulled the wheel off, it fell out. It must have been stuck up here somewhere or something. It's pretty sad. It's all ground down. Let's take a look at the other wheels. That's not too bad. A little uneven wear. 5-6 millimeter maybe. 7 on the inside. Same thing over here. A little uneven wear. Outside pad's wearing more than the inside. The pads are about 6 millimeters on this side, so I'm gonna figure that a slide must be frozen. That caliper's got to be replaced on the right side, just because of the fact the piston's falling out and it's leaking brake fluid. So we'll probably do the hose just in case as a precaution, as long as it's readily available and not too expensive. If it's expensive, then we'll put it all together and drive it and see how it goes. The way you check for hose problems, after doing your brake work or before doing your brake work, you'll get a pull if the brake hose has got an issue. You hit the brakes, it's going to pull to one side or the other. If it pulls to the left, the right side hose might be collapsed internally. If it's pulling when you're not hitting the brakes to one side and you hit the brakes and it kind of evens out, then one of the hoses might be holding the brakes on. So that's something to look for. And one of the ways you can separate whether it's a caliper problem or a hose problem before your brake pads fall out is simply find a wheel that's bound up, like if the brakes are sticking on and getting hot, you can open the bleeder. If the brakes release and get loose, then the hose or something in the line is damaged, keeping the brakes on. If when you loosen the bleeder, it doesn't loosen up, then the caliper itself is seized. This is definitely going to need some work, so we'll see what happens with this one. All right, we got approval on this brake job, but first things first, I'm going to hose off the brake fluid from this so it can dry while I do the brakes. Because that stuff will hurt the wheels and all. Oh, look, it's cleaning it nice. I'm going to finish cleaning this up. We'll get started on that brake job. We're going to do the hose too, so I like to just make sure that's going to break loose, and then I'll snug it back up so it doesn't leak. I'll put a clamp on here. I can discombobulate everything without it pouring brake fluid everywhere. So let me grab a little drip pan, because it will still leak some. I'll start ripping this thing apart. The caliper is going to be a couple hours, they said. And the job pays a couple hours. Hose, caliper, rotor. On the other side is going to get a rotor and pads, I believe. So we'll see. We're not going to do calipers on both sides, which is probably okay. They come in a separate box for a reason. Just a 14, 2 14s, and I took the caliper off here and everything fell on the ground. I already picked it up. You guys missed it. You got to pay attention. You might miss things. Look, the squealer got bent around. That's pretty bad. This thing had to be making a racket for a day or two, or a month or two, something. Pistons. Luckily the piston hasn't completely fallen out yet. Oh yes it has. Okay. Alright, let's go ahead and get this out. I think it's a 19 on the bracket. Couple of 14s. And the bracket, a couple of 19s. This side I should still have the hardware and stuff, so it didn't all get thrown on the ground. So we're only doing the one caliper. I'm not going to disturb this side. I'll clean the bracket up and the slides, get that all ready to go for when the parts get here. Well, that's why this side didn't wear, because the pads are frozen in the caliper bracket, or pad bracket. Let's see here. This is one of the things I like when people say, well, they don't lubricate them from the factory. Well, they're always frozen from the factory, but it's out of warranty. Have we had that discussion before? I don't remember. Oops. That's probably not supposed to do that. Alright, let's squeeze these pistones back in. Make sure there's no air in the boots stopping them from retracting. Be gentle if you do that. Pull this rotor off of here. Now what we're doing is waiting on parts. Parts is here. We got a mix of Napa, AutoZone, Napa. Whatever it takes to get the job done. Those are pretty. I like when they're coated though. These aren't coated. Should I paint them with a spray can and stir up the comments section? Let's get this thing. I dressed this caliper on the workbench, the bracket. I mean, I got grease under the hardware. I gotta put it over. Slides are all looby-dooby. This side will be the quick one. The other side gets the caliper and hose. Told you to be quick. Look at that beautiful thing, huh? That is a beautiful specimen. Now I'm gonna bolt it on here so that I can mess with everything a little easier and it'll hold the weight for me. It looks like a struggle. It's really not, trust me. This is all part of the deal, part of the process. Now there's a bolt under here. And get this caliper back out of my way. You know what? I've been letting it drip. And I can just remove it now because shouldn't be much fluid left. Like I always say, always start the bolts by hand because you could end up having a bad day otherwise. It's just not worth it. Trying to start them with an impact gun is not good. Now I got to take the caliper mounting bolt off so I can swing it away. Get all my hardware in place. Oh, look how nice, fancy that seals are and everything. That's beautiful. This thing's gonna have some great brakes on this side. I mean the whole thing, but I mean this side especially. Little bit of grease, not much. Just in case we go to the rust belt or something up there by Erico. The phone, it's ringing. And they don't stay in the caliper bracket, pad bracket too tight. That's gonna make me a little sad. You can bend them a little tighter. These are pretty flimsy. It's not helping. Oh well. Let me go get the phone. Got my calipers looby-doobied, and I know a way to get the hardware to stay in place. Put a brake pad in. That'll hold it. Same thing over here. You kind of hook it in from the back so that you get over that little tension spring that's built into the hardware. There it is. Now there's a lot going on. I probably should have put a nut on the rotor just to hold her tight. But on this channel, we like a challenge. We're not going to do it the easy way. What really matters is when you're done, you did it right and you got good results. There's something in this pad that's not going to let the hardware go all the way in. It's quality stuff. The other one, same way. Maybe it's something in the spring. Let's try it in the bottom holes. Oh, that one goes all the way in. That's making me a little bit sad. I gotta be completely honest with you. I might have to get a drill bit and drill some gook out of these holes or something, because this spring has got to go all the way in. It's like they didn't drill the pads all the way or something. All right. Let's get a drill, see what happens. All right. That's a tiny little drill bit. We'll see. Shouldn't take much. I'm hoping there's just some gook in there, coating or something, but let's see if that did something. A little better. One more try. Hoping I have to defect these pads out and wait another hour for them, but we'll see. Uh-oh. Something happened there. That's what I was trying to avoid. I think the brake pad material or brake pad glue was in there. All right, let's have another go at this. I think I got them drilled out good. We will see. I got to where I felt like I was hitting solid metal, and I don't want to drill the brake pads and modify them, and make sure everything clears good. The caliper pushes on that little spring. That's the third fire truck and ambulance today already. These guys are gonna have a long weekend, I guess, for some reason. I always make sure they tighten their bolt same way I tighten mine. They had a different size head on the bolt for the caliper, and I don't like that. I want it to match the other side. Hope that doesn't make me a bad person, but it's how I'm doing it. I'm reusing the old bolt instead of the new one. It doesn't have the same size head. Now, let me show you this a little better. Alright. Now, washer on either side of the hose. One side seals it to the bolt, and one side seals it to the caliper. These are actually like drain plug gaskets kind of thing, but they're made out of copper, so it can handle higher pressure. Can't make them out of rubber or anything like that. Usually they're aluminum or copper, mostly copper. 12 millimeter. Now the impact I don't really trust for something like that. Oh, you know what? I shouldn't have even done that. I'm changing the hose, knucklehead. We're gonna have to undo that. That's all right. And I'm gonna get a wrench too. I always put a wrench or ratchet on there just to verify what happened with the impact. Impact guns are great for saving time. They're not great for getting things as tight or torqued as you'd like. Redo. I'm gonna get a set of side cutters. I like to pull these little clips out with side cutters. All it is a little spring, and as you push it in, it puts tension down to lock the little brake line fitting in place. Now again, I broke this line loose earlier, but then I snugged it back up. So now I'm going to take that clip out. I want to make sure it's going to be nice and freed up. You can use the side cutters as levers. They usually will come out. See that little hook? That's what loads it, so it keeps itself in place. Really pretty ingenious and very simple. They've been doing them that way since the first car I ever did brake hoses on. Some cars will bolt the brake hose to a bracket, but most cars just have that little spring retainer. There might not be any brake fluid left in this line. It's probably empty from the master cylinder to the wheel. That's why it had no pedal. So when I bleed it, I should be able to just bleed this one wheel, and we should have a good pedal, but we'll see. Take the tension off. It's out. Yeah, see, there's no brake fluid left in this wheel. There's 4 brake circuits. Always get this started first. That's my priority. Get the fitting started, because that's the hardest part. Once you get a few threads in there, then you can worry about sinking it into here. I gotta see how this, I think this should be a notch there. This might go the other way. Why they care which way you face it, I don't know. Now I know this is started, and my side cutters will also work as a little hammer. Technically, side of the cutters, right? Okay. Let me finish snugging this thing up. Get my caliper hose end bolted up, and we'll start bleeding this thing. All right, I got my bolt ready to go. You can see too that there's a bend in this, so the side that curves away goes towards the caliper, so it goes like this, so you know things aren't going to hit and bend when you try to tighten it, etc. And then there's a little notch that you get that line into in the caliper, and this time it's a permanent installation. We're going to get a wrench and verify how tight it is once I get it snugged. Using my gear wrench wrenches for a while now. They've been good. Some people hate them online, but I haven't had a problem with them. I don't think they have quite the grip in the open end that a tool truck brand might, but for what they cost, they work. If I go to something that needs that much grip, I'm generally getting a socket anyway. The phone's ringing! Got the bleeder open. Let's let this thing down, get some fluid in it, get it gravity bleeded. Ah, the smell of sweet, sweet victory. Some of you guys might have seen where I tap on the caliper casing and some air bubbles might make their way out because the casing's pretty coarse inside, rough, and air bubbles will actually stick to the casting internally, and tapping it helps free them up. And then I'll get someone to step on the pedal a couple times, make sure there's no leaks and all that kind of stuff. Okay, down. Nice and easy. There you go. That's just a check. Gravity bleeding will get the air out. It takes a little longer. That's the only real reason to get an assistant to help pump or to use the vacuum bleeder. So we're good to go. Button this thing up. I'm going to clean it up with some brake clean. You got to use that. It's mandatory when you do brakes. I know because I saw it on the internet, so it must be true. The old Nissan wheel dilemma. One short nut on every wheel. They must have taken the locks off at some point. Three more times. Last one. Brake fluid's topped up. Let's take this cream puff for a drive. Ooh. I hope it's getting an oil change. I don't see an oil change sticker. Pedal's good. That knife banging into the radio and the climate control, whatever it is, would be more annoying for me, but not my truck. I'll take this thing for a little drive, see how she does, make sure there's no funny noises. Man, you know what? I'm looking at, I told you guys I'm looking at riding mowers, and there is a lot to choose from, and they're all very similar. One thing I didn't realize is they're just building the chassis and using basically generic wheels and tires and engines, and the drive systems are like hydraulic drive transaxles or transmissions. They call them drive units, I guess. Some of them are serviceable, some of them aren't. There's a whole lot of things to know. And if you're going to spend a lot of money on something like that, you want to do your due diligence, aka research. But the problem I see on the internet, like a lot of things, is whatever everybody bought is the best. Just like with tools and car brands. The same thing with lawnmowers. Whatever they bought is the best, because it's all they really know, and they're hoping that they spent their money in the right place. But honestly, for what I'm seeing, fabricated deck's important, and don't get the smallest ones because they have the lightest duty equipment. Kawasaki seems like the favorite engine, Kohler being second, and Briggs & Stratton third. So we're doing our research. We're going to figure this thing out, because being a mechanic, it's really important to me that it's easy to work on, that it's reliable, and I don't want to fix it all the time. People are actually saying stay away from the John Deere, especially the entry-level ones. You got to go into the commercial stuff to get good stuff. I mean, I have frames are cracking and things like that. Anyway, just thinking while I'm driving. This thing's going to be good. You guys tell me in the comments below what riding mower, or I'm looking at zero turn specifically. I already have a Cub Cadet riding mower, which it's actually been pretty good, 15 years old. I had to rebuild a deck once. You guys tell me in the comments below what you use, what you recommend. Kind of curious. I may have already bought one by the time this video is out, but we'll see. I'm going looking this weekend. These brakes are good, so I'm gonna hustle back to the shop. We don't usually get very long freight trains here, but every once in a while you get stuck at the tracks, and they can be about a mile long. It seems like. You guys get them out where you're at? I know in the Midwest they can be really long and have several locomotives pulling them. You know what time it is. 1993 Toyota Camry. An actual gem. Creme de la creme, as they say in the business. This old girl, she looks rough, but 274,987 loving miles. It's got a door key that's different from the ignition. Probably had lock cylinders changed or something, I guess. I tried the wrong key at first, didn't work. That's how I figured it out. I'm smart. That's what my mom always said. Love rating, it's probably gonna be a 3. Poor thing's old, you know. but it's also pretty cluttered and dirty for me. I cut it a little slack because it's a 93, so it's, was it 30 years old? They're complaining about a noise on the engine when they start it up, and they think it's a timing belt. Key chime's annoying. If it's annoying me, it's got to be annoying you twice as much, because you don't even have to put up with it. You're not getting paid. I'm gonna have someone start it while I listen to the engine.
Clock stayed again. So if we do the steering out, then she'll bring it back next week.
There.
Go ahead. Does sound like some timing belt noise. Oh yeah, definitely coming from the timing belt. Alrighty. I believe this is a 2017 GMC Acadia. Customer says, intermittently the steering feels funny and I can't get it to change lanes on the highway. And intermittently, something's going on with the park. I couldn't understand if they were saying it won't go into park or won't come out of park. They said it happens about every 4th trip. She said about every 4th time I drive it, it does it. Well, apparently Paul and the other folks up front have been driving it. And they've put about 18 miles on it and can't get it to do anything. They said no lights come on or anything like that. So I got an hour to figure it out. So it's obviously not going to happen, but we're going to try. Nothing's going to stop me from trying. I'll tug on Superman's cape and I'll spit in the wind. I don't care. I'm a risk taker. I'm a rule breaker. I'm a Jimmy shaker. I don't think it goes like that, but that's how I like it. I'm going to check for codes. I'll do a system list, check for codes in every module in the vehicle, and then we'll go up and look for service bulletins. Hopefully it has some kind of a code. If not, she doesn't want to go to the dealer, but what can I do with an intermittent electrical problem that's safety related, especially if I can't find service bulletins and I don't have codes? That's kind of sketchy. 97,240 miles and a love rating of 7. It's nice and clean in here. No dust on the dash or anything. That's nice. Let's go ahead, run through these codes and see what we get, and then we'll know which direction to go from there. Oh, I'm already seeing some codes, TCM and EBCM. EBCM could be related to steering controls and stuff too, so we'll let it keep cooking. We want it al dente. That's how we like our codes. All right, the report is successfully sent. Man, this thing, they gave me the ticket number. It was written like 60 cars ago, so this thing's been here a while. Electronic control unit hardware in the EBCM. That is a strange code. Human interface module, front video display output, liftgate latch switch signal circuit, signal invalid. These codes probably aren't anything we're really terribly worried about, but we are going to worry about this CO56D and see what that means and what that code could affect as far as systems go. And we'll look at service bulletins while I'm in there researching this code, and then we'll come back. I looked up the code we had for the module failure, and that's power steering control module, and we're having problems with power steering, right? So they're working on it. This thing has a rack and pinion that's powered with an electric motor, and the steering control module takes input from the wheel and assists you with that electric motor that's mounted right on the rack. It's all one piece. So when you're going fast, it makes the steering a little stiffer, and when you're going slow, like in a parking lot, it makes the steering easier. And she's having problems with it intermittently not helping, and as a matter of fact, she said it fights her when she wants to change lanes sometimes. And it has that weird code for internal module failure, which the flowchart says basically you check for power and ground, replace and retest the module. See if you get the code back. Another one of the things to do is to clear it and see if it comes right back. But we'll see what happens with this little bad Johnny. And they want me to put a battery in that hybrid Ford, and the trunk is full of stuff and the battery's in the trunk. So they're working on that one next, I think, and we'll see what happens. So it's going to take a little extra labor. I told them to have the customer bring it back after they empty the trunk. I'll show you what it looks like real quick. 2013 Ford Fusion, 128,157 miles. Quick battery installation. That's where the battery is, under that panel, and you got to take all of this out to get that side panel off. Let's see what happens. We got a couple. We're juggling some balls right now, but that doesn't sound right. Got most of it out of it. That's what matters. There we go. Sometimes you gotta relearn windows, cool stuff like that. You got a bungee cord. There's one right there. 10mm. That just being difficult, right? I know there's no metal for me to stick it to, but they make the tap one way or another. Let's go see where the battery's at. Like an extra security thing, I guess. I'm not sure what the purpose is, but not even really that tight. It's got to be just a security thing. It took longer from the clearing out the trunk than it did to put the battery. Up first, and once they are, a couple of whacks. Boom. Customer request battery done. All right, love rating. It's gonna be a 2, solid 2 on this thing. Praise the Lord. Let's go ahead. This thing is done. It says ready to drive, and it also says low tire pressure. Let's check his tires real quick before we pull it out. I mean, we got 0.3 anyway. We might as well, right? I'm gonna run through tire pressure. Then I'll park it. Oh, the lights were on park. I put them on automatic so the battery doesn't go dead again. They wanted a battery. Wasn't up to me. Don't be jealous. Pretty clean 2007 Silverado with the venerable Duramax diesel, known by Ford fans as the Dirty Max. Oh, my updates are done. How do you like that much news? No, they're not. Never mind. Okay, they had the young Jedi look at this. What is in my butt? What the heck is going on with that? There's like a bunched up towel in a little snowball shape. That was kind of spooky. They had the young Jedi look at the TPMS system. Try to figure why the light's on. Check engine lights on. They didn't ask about that. Probably has EGR delete and all the silly stuff that diesel guys do. Try to get extra 15 foot-pounds of torque. Or I know. Some say 300 foot-pounds more, but I'm going to service the tire monitor system. That's my goal. He said all the sensors read good, but it's not working still. So we'll run through some codes, send a report, and we'll take a look. Well, since we got both the credit and debit light on, we're going to go ahead and smart scan, let it ping every single module in here just to make sure they're all getting along, and then we'll know which way to go. I'm assuming it either has low air pressure or a couple of bad sensors, and for some reason the little tester thing is saying it's okay. I don't know, but we'll figure it out. It takes a minute. There's a lot of modules. The problem is when it has a lot of potential modules, this thing might look for 40 modules and only 17 are in there. So the ones that aren't there, it waits to make sure, hey, you're not talking, what's going on? So you just gotta wait. Just take a minute. Search Google. Check on current events, or see how your wife or kids are doing or something, You can always do something with that little bit of time. It only takes about 2 minutes at the most, usually a minute and a half. But the 93 Camry, he's going to do the time belt water pump, oddly enough. He said he might have a warranty because we did it last, so we checked it. We did it 7 years ago, 75,000 miles ago. But anywho, this thing's about done. I'm going to send a report. We got some codes going on. We'll see what comes of it. I don't see any TPMS codes though. I find that quite interesting. Why is the light on? Just needs air. Send a report and we'll carry on from there. Alright, I sent the codes, the glow plug control circuit codes, and TPMS sensor codes are in the EBCM. Door lock receiver has left rear low tire pressure sensor. I don't know whether that means the sensor's bad or the tire pressure is just low. But this one says circuit frequency too low, and this one says circuit erratic. That's the same code. One's probably history and one's current. Wheel speed sensor circuit erratic. Wheel speed sensor circuit frequency low. Left front, left front, left front. So there's definitely something going on in the ABS with the left front. Could that be why the tire light's on? I don't see a tire pressure dealio. When I go into data, it wouldn't show me tire pressure, which I thought these would have a separate TPMS system. All it shows me in here is ABS stuff. Now I can't assume how things have gone up to this point with this vehicle, so I'm going to clear all the codes, see what comes back. I'm going to check all the tire pressure, and then we'll go from there. Took it for a little drive with the 3 wheel speed sensors up. I didn't see any glitches, so it must be pretty random. What I'm going to do is get it back on this alignment rack and look at that left front sensor, see if there's play in the bearing or anything like that. Vehicle doesn't have a lot of miles. 95,000 for a diesel truck is nothing. It's not even half the life expectancy from what I've been told. The Ford guys would say it's double, but the GM guys say it's not even half. So it just depends on who you talk to. Like everything. I'll tell you what, these mowers, man, these lawn mowers I've been looking at, it's kind of crazy. I've been looking at Cub Cadet, which is the box store, but they also do some commercial stuff. But I'd rather have like a detuned commercial mower myself, like a Gravely or a Hustler, or the bad boys are supposed to be pretty good too. Supposedly the most value for your money and the most stuff, I guess you could say. But I just don't want problems. I want the one that's not going to give me trouble. It's going to work for years to come. You know, I'm 60 now, so that mower, the next mower I buy, it's going to be my lifer. When I get rid of my next mower, I want it to be because I don't cut the grass myself anymore. That's my goal. Anyway, like I said, you guys want to help me out in the comments. Tell me what you think. I may buy one this weekend, I may not, so it'll help. We'll see. I'll keep you posted on it though. This thing, the tire light is on. I cannot find myself any kind of TPMS module. I have to figure out what module it might be in, which I think it might be in a door module. Let's go back and take a look at that. See if we can find a door module in our list. Instrument panel, passenger door, remote door lock receiver. It might be in here. Let's see if we have any codes in that one. It said no in the other thing, but sometimes when you go directly, you'll get a code that it doesn't show in the other one. Let's see if we have any TPMS data. Oh, tire pressure data. Look at that son of a gun. Left front tire pressure. I'm going to go through, pick all 4 tire pressure sensors. Left front, left rear. Now we got to go off for right front and right rear. Let's see what it says. 153 psi. I just went around and aired them up myself. Both rear tires are at 80 and both fronts are at 60, so the left rear is reading too high. That sensor's no good. So that's easy. Combine, see what it looks like on a graph. See, that one sensor is maxed out, so there's something wrong with that sensor. I know for a fact. I just checked and it's 80. Now sometimes when you go behind another mechanic, it doesn't matter if they're good at their job or not. You know, people get in a rush, they make mistakes. I do it too. I just don't show you on my channel. Anyone, if someone tells you they don't make mistakes, they don't have comebacks, they're lying to you, because everyone does. You just, especially if you're on a flat rate and you're working a little faster than you probably should, trying to get as much work done as you can. I don't do that anymore because I'm older now and I've been doing this so long. I realize how I'll probably get burned if I do. But for most mechanics, they're going to be hustling. They're going to have even more problems than I do because they're still working at a faster pace. They're younger, in their 30s and 40s. And long story short, I recheck the tire pressure. Even if someone told me they checked them, they're all good, I check them again. Especially if they say to me, I already checked the tire pressure, it's good, there's something else going on. I go, okay, and I check the tire pressure. And the right rear was 73 psi instead of 80. So I got them 80.4 in the rear and 60.3 or 4 in the front. I always go a little bit over and tires are cold. That one sensor reading 150 is bad is what I'm saying. That's a really long version of that. Let me go tell them up front. It's got some glow plug codes, possible ABS sensor, and the left rear tire pressure sensor. Oh, before I do that though, just a heads up, I am going to lift it up and check to see if that wheel bearing looks bad or I can see anything visually with that left foot. For a walk in that, let's go ahead and someone asked me a couple times about floor mats and cars, and if you don't do that kind of stuff, it's not as big of a deal. The reason they make mechanics do that is because a lot of them are pigs and they leave oil and stuff on the floor and walk around in it and then get in the customer's car. So then you have to use floor mats. And they have to make it mandatory because people make a mess. And that's something I did when I was younger too. I just don't do it anymore because I got in trouble for making a mess. And you forget a floor mat and you have a greasy boot, guess what? So it's best not to have greasy boots. And then use a floor mat if the car's really nice anyway. Jacks, they're not happy about that. Alright, I don't see any play in the bearing here. It's pretty rusty though. I see a future flat tire going on. Let's go ahead and store that. This is pretty rusty. Probably has a bad sensor, aka bearing. I'm going to see how much time they want to spend on it. They only asked me to check the TPMS. Give it a spin, see if I can feel anything. Torsion bar. Acts as a spring. I don't really feel anything. Let me see what they want to do, how far they want to go with this. This tire's got a little dry rot. Even though it's not wore out, it's old. Alright, let me get this off. We're going to do that sensor. I think we're holding off on the ABS. We're just going to do the TPMS sensor. It said left rear. I'm hoping I'm in the right place. Could also be the other side. We'll see. I'm going to take the wheel off and grab my TPMS sensor tester, and it'll tell me what PSI it reads. I'm pretty sure it's the right one. Otherwise, I do that beforehand. But you know, I like living on the edge. But I'm not one of those people that'll go bungee jumping or skydiving. But this is as far to the edge as I get. Alright, let's see here what we got. Chevy Silverado. Doesn't matter what tire it's on because I'm not programming the sensor to the car yet. I'm just going to check to see if it's working. I'm not getting the signal so far. It shouldn't take that long. I apologize about the fan behind me. No sensor detected. Joe's using it to keep the right rear wheel cool. So, I apologize. Alright, let's go get that sensor swapped out. They got their own valve core tool, so I'm going to use it instead of going to get mine. Now, I'm not going to break both beads, so we shouldn't have to worry about the tire turning on the wheel. But I'll show you, if you were going to take the tire off to do a patch, you can mark where the weights are. And mark where the weight is, and I mark where the valve is. But I only did that to show you guys. I'm only going to break one bead just to get to the sensor. I have to break it on both sides. By that I mean that side of the bead and that side of the bead. Not that bead. Well. Butterfingers! Let me get some stuff out of the way. Alright, that's a little better. Got a little lever up here. I can go over here and get this to help me. Why strain yourself? That's what machines are for. Now you can probably just rip this apart. But I always unbolt the sensor part of it. It's going to get the valve and the sensor, but rather than just ripping everything through the hole and trying to break it all, just unbolt it. Seems a little easier to me. Once I get this out, I can snap that valve stem out of the hole. A little bit easier. Uh-oh. Seems like it's about out of there. Now protect the rim. Pull that through. You're actually breaking it. And luckily this is dry rotted, so no biggie. Where's that new one at? I like to put a little bit of soap on them. You don't have to. Just makes me feel better. And you don't have to disassemble it to put it in either. And those little slots in this tool are made to go on the bead of the wheel. If you can get a thread on. There you go. You don't have to go all the way on, but get quite a few threads so you don't do any damage. And then I find it a little easier with, oh, that's only one notch. There's a second click. Third click. There it goes. I think that's it. Yep, this is flat, so we're in. All we gotta do now is put air back in it. Well, you gotta let it off to do that. I'm gonna take the core out. Sometimes they go, sometimes they don't. Take the core out, air goes in much faster. Just don't give up, that's all. It'll eventually go. Alright, the machine would only do 62 PSI. So I'm gonna go over to the truck and put the rest of the air in it, and then we'll program it. Putting air in for me. Alright, now we're going to go to program sensor. Bonk. Vehicle selection. Should be on the same vehicle last done. 2007 snap-in. Those are the ones that look like a regular valve stem, but they're not. Standard OE. Standard quick. Napa OE. Napa quick. I think it's a Napa quick. Put in a new sensor. Start. Check sensor. We'll get a little bar graph. It'll run across the screen, uploading to the sensor. Processing, exiting, verifying. Shows me my pressure. Everything's good. Now, I just gotta learn it to the vehicle. I've got the TPMS system in learn mode through that door lock module. Now I'm going to run around here. We'll activate the sensors. OK is next. We'll go over to this one. OK is next, right rear. It'll beep the horn every time it acknowledges the sensor. And the one we just installed should be the last one, and it should beep the horn twice. There you go. We should all be learned, we should have no light, and everybody should be happy. Turn the key off. Give it a second to digest what just happened. Should have no TPMS light. Donk. Alright. This one's done. I'm going to take this thing for a little drive, make sure nothing else is happening with it. We'll be good to go. Uh-oh. They put Donnie's Viper in my bay after asking me when I'm getting my truck out of here. I guess that means I'm done for the day. Apparently I'm not the only one done for the day. I don't know where everybody went. Got a parts delivery, I know that. Thanks for watching today's video, guys. I hope you got something from it. It's been my pleasure. A kind of unusual day running around in circles. I don't know if it was a good day or not. I didn't really keep track of it very well, to tell you the truth. We'll see. I'll figure it out. Monday morning I'll come in and look at my hours and see how that all went. So torque the like button on your way out if you will, or subscribe. It really helps out a lot, and I appreciate that support. I hope I see you in the next video, because you're awesome.